What is the best estate car in the world? Or wagon if you're American? Now, I would say it's the Audi RS6, but what would make it even better? If they were cheaper, of course. For a lower mileage 2014 RS6 now, you're looking to spend over £40,000. I've always wanted an Audi RS6 since my BMX days. So when this popped up at auction, I knew I had to buy it. And with it being crash damaged, it was an opportunity to get an RS6 for cheap. And this one was a lot cheaper. Obviously, this was like this when I bought it, not from the bin incident. But there could be a reason that this was so cheap. But I guess we'll find out later in the video as we start stripping this thing apart. No, I'm literally so buzzing to finally own an RS6. And let's face it, I was never going to buy one which wasn't damaged. And I think we've got an absolute bargain on this. One of the best parts, look at the space you get in the back. Oh, and we've even got... What? That actually doesn't look that bad. Oh, okay. How fast this is to have that much boot space and 5 doors as well. What more could you want? My dog is going to love this car. But judging from the damage that I can see here and a little bit of damage over here and from the photos that I saw at the auction, this looks like a fairly simple repair, and as a DIY myself, I think we could do this and do it quick. And those with eagle eyes would have noticed we already started. We have a smashed windscreen, and our only theory of why this windscreen is smashed, because the passenger airbag hasn't gone off in the dashboard, which normally what smashes the windscreen, is that this could have been somebody's head. If you've got no seatbelt on, you are going in that general direction. So I called the guys in from SCREENSAVER to come and change the windscreen before we'd even started the rebuild, as this is one of them jobs that I have no idea how to do, and I don't fancy giving it a go myself. But within an hour, a fresh windscreen was in place. Okay, we'll leave that. Now, even though this car's been in an accident and the airbags have blown, it does still start. But there's a fair amount of warning lights, including a coolant one, so we can't run it for too long. And it's so easy to see why the RS6 is so popular. It looks great, it's aged well, and it comes standard with a 4-litre twin-turbo V8 with 552 horsepower. Now, for 4 years, we've been rebuilding cars, and I wanted to take that challenge to the next step and try and get this done in 24 hours, but not without some help.
What do you think about the car?
It'd be better if it was a BMW.
What do you think about the car?
Great. I like Audis, better than BMWs.
We'll let the comments decide that one, but we've got to rebuild this thing quick, and for a very good reason, which you'll see later in the video. But for now, there's no time to waste. Okay, first place I think we're going to start is, of course, where the damage is. And something that could make this thing a little bit more expensive to repair is if there's any suspension damage, which personally I don't think there's actually going to be any, but there's only one way to find out, and that's to get all the wheels off. There is, yeah, this tyre's gone, but let's get it in the air. Let's do it. Before we put the car in the air, we thought it was a better idea to remove the passenger side door first. That way we'll be able to get all the bolts for the wing off without the door getting in the way.
That's how you do it.
There's 2 grub screws holding the door to the body of the car and 1 bolt in the check strap. Hey! I need the wing mirror, don't damage. But then we found some damage we didn't expect. Oh, that has actually done
Let's check it against
a bit of damage. We don't have the time, and I'll explain in a minute why we can't repair this right now. Like, this is another thing that you don't see when buying crash damaged cars, some unexpected damage. I don't think this is going to affect any structural integrity of the car, but it just doesn't look very pretty. So a bit of a kick in the teeth with some unexpected damage, but that's going to have to wait for now. Next up, we're going to remove the bonnet. I pulled the washer jets out of it and all the washer lines, and then there's 2 bolts each side which hold the bonnet to the hinges. Then Chris explained how we was going to rebuild this car in 24 hours.
Try not to break some stuff, keep spirits high, and don't offend anyone.
It's out.
Sketchy.
It's out.
Thanks.
And I think Chris was right. We've got to stay positive here. Let's hope we don't find any more hidden damage. Oh, that tire looks alright.
Bit of chafage, but nothing mad.
Bit of rubbing. Actually, looks quite good.
Do you know what? I hated these calipers at first, but now I've actually seen what colour green they are. It's like your Lambo.
Now this
No, that bit doesn't look like
logo here actually gives away a little bit of who the previous owner was. What I want to know is if there's any damage to this chassis leg here. I don't think there's going to be any, but we'll find out once we've got all this arch lining out and we can have a quick look and getting this wing off because that's definitely damaged. Next up, we're onto the arch lining and the wing. Yeah, it's looking all right. I think we've got ourselves a bargain for once. And my dad is on the front end of the car removing all the trim panels there in preparation for us to get the front bumper off, because again that along with the grille are going to have to be replaced. Once the bumper was off, that revealed damage to the crash bar, part of the radiator and some of the lower radiators in front of the wheel, and the final thing to come off was the wing. Whilst Chris is taking the wing off, I noticed this is all loose, and that, oh, is that a stock? No. This is a K&N air filter, so the engine cover's missing. I feel like this has got an aftermarket exhaust on, and with this air filter, who knows, this could have been possibly tuned as well. So I think once that wing's off, we get it in the air and have a look at the exhaust, because it's definitely louder than standard, but that is also not stock. Chris had to remove the washer bottle first, and managed to get it everywhere. After that, we could finally get to all the bolts which held on the front wing. But as I mentioned, I think this car could have had a tune. It's definitely had a lot of modifications done to it. Well, as I suspected, there's a Miltech exhaust on it. Oh, there's still catalytic converters, I can see them up there. This looks quite old though. I mean, it's going all the way back. It's pretty much like a straight pipe. To two big. Is it valved? Oh, it has on the top there.
Ah, yes.
So there are valves on it, but I think it sounds pretty good for what's going on there.
I don't think that's supposed to be like that.
Look, the airbag's completely off though.
Oh yeah, look.
Doesn't look good,
The
does it?
airbag's
No.
not come off.
Oh.
The RS6 used air suspension as standard, and the rear bags don't look like they're sitting right.
None of them are sitting in their seats, are they?
We'll have to see when we lower it down if they're sitting in the
Unless
seat.
it's...
Watch your hand if it goes boom. We don't think that this is caused by the accident. We think maybe just by putting it up in the lift, but they won't go back into the original seats.
Reckon it's broken.
We'll have to see when we put it down where it sits.
I think there might be a jacking mode.
Yeah, you might have to put it in the jacking mode like the Bentley. In fact, let's find the full history of this car out, which I did check out before I bought it, but now I'm going to show you guys as well, which has got a little bit of history that we're going to show you on screen now as well. The brand you can see here, Mental, or better known as Mental Monkey, is owned by Aaron Lambo. Along with many other things, he modified cars and then gave them away through his raffle company. I found this video on YouTube of my RS6 being given away to one of his lucky winners.
Best of luck. Please. Safe journey.
Yeah, go outside, mate. Look after it.
Congratulations.
But it doesn't look like the winner crashed the car. This video was put out on November 15th, 2021. And when I go over to the car vertical check, I can see on the timeline that the ownership was changed in November 2021. But later in February 2022, an ownership was changed again. So perhaps the winner sold the car and the new owner in August crashed it. And we can see on the car vertical report that it was categorized as a category S, structural damage, which maybe we're yet to find. On the rest of the report, I can see that the mileage all lines up and it's not been recorded as stolen, and there's no outstanding finance on there. And also, if you check a car which was crash damage and it was auctioned off at a car crash auction site, it's likely, like this BMW, that you actually see the photos of when it was auctioned off. Pretty bad. So if you want to check your car, your friend's car, or a car that you're potentially about to buy, click the link in the description box below, use code MAP for discount, and thank me later when you save money on buying your next car. There's definitely something not right with this air suspension. I think we've got to let the air out of the suspension so then we can reseat it and onto the arm, because that does not look right. Especially, well, it looks like it's trying to come out of the arm, but yeah, didn't expect that. But all of that will have to wait because we need to pay our attention to the front of the car. Right now we're removing all the under trays to see if there's any damage to the engine or any leaks, but all looks good. So now I'm back onto the radiator pack and the crash bar at the front. We've got to remove this broken crash bar out the way. Whoa! And now I can access the radiator pack. This is the aircon condenser here. Behind it is a cooler for something else, and behind that is the cooler for the engine. What we're trying to do is take this off without taking the pipes off, so we can move this out of the way of the other pipes. That's because it's got aircon gas in it, and if we take the aircon gas out, we're gonna have to pay for it to go back in. So we're trying to preserve that, save money, and also save us time.
And the environment.
And the environment. So we've got to slide it off, but it's a bit of a challenge. It'd be a lot easier just to lose the aircon gas, but you're not supposed to let it out in the environment. You can get a fine for that. And
it's quite bad.
Yeah, but we might be doing it in a minute.
Luckily, we didn't have to because we managed to get the aircon condenser and the pipes away from the car. And now we can work on removing the full radiator and everything else on its own. We're just trying to get everything disconnected that's connected to this front slam panel so we can remove it away from the car. Intercooler pipes, water-cooled pipes, cables, everything. Fast. Just like the M5, there's loads of radiators and loads of hoses on the front of this car. There's the radiator which holds coolant for the engine. In fact, I think there might be two of those. There's also a radiator for the charge cooling system as well, and it's all compacted into the front of the car. But once all those hoses were disconnected, we were now able to see the front of the engine to see if there was any damage there as well.
Oh, there you go.
Great work, Chris.
Well, we did it as a team. That's how we work best, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah.
Matt does the work and you just take the glory.
Go on. Cool.
Yeah. It's already unplugged.
No, so there's two plugs and one's not plugged in.
That's strange.
But it doesn't plug into anything. Just
Oh.
disconnect from here, please.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
I was just going to disconnect from
It's
here.
just a lot easier to disconnect one connector than multiple, you see, on this.
Do you know what? That's what I like about hanging around with you. I'm always learning. Teamwork.
Woo!
Whoa.
Do you know what that reminds me of? Do you remember, like, back in like probably 2010, it was a big thing. We had TVs come out the end of your bed. Okay.
I think we've done all right here. We've actually got ourselves a pretty good bargain, and there's been not really any hidden surprises the more we've taken apart. Obviously, we've only just found the dent in the door, in the A-pillar, which I don't think is too bad. We've also found that the door cards are missing the door speakers. So whether they had aftermarket speakers and they took them out before it went to auction. So that's going to be set back a bit because they're Bose speakers. But other than that, I think we're all good to rebuild this thing. So the Audi RS6 cost me £20,000. And the car is a 2014 model with 36,000 miles on the clock. And I think if we can repair this car and under £10,000, we've definitely got ourselves a bargain. But there's a time limit. SEMA, arguably the biggest car show in the world, which is located in Las Vegas, halfway across the world to where I'm from. My plan was to build the RS6 into a show car and ship it across the world in time for SEMA. But there's one problem with all of this. SEMA is in October, the end of October. This car is getting shipped to the USA on the 5th of September, 1 month from now. So not only have I got to rebuild this car as quick as possible, we've also got to modify it and change it into an ultimate show car. Well, as show car as you can get in 30 days. So there is literally no time to waste. We've got to get this thing rebuilt at minimum in this video. I've managed to get a full front end for £5,500. Now this includes literally everything. Headlights, bumpers, radiator packs, and a lot of stuff which I didn't really need. I probably could have saved a little bit more buying stuff individual, but because of the time frame, we've got everything all in one. So with no time to waste, we're back on with repairing the car. My dad repaired some broken wires at the front of the car first, then I started fitting the new radiators which sit in front of the front left wheel. I later found that the plastic shroud had to come off because it's going to get in the way of the rad pack which we're about to fit now. And we actually managed to save the old aircon condenser. It looks like it was free from damage. With the brand new second-hand rad pack in place, we can now fit the crash bar, and this protects the whole front end of the car. There's 2 bolts each side of it which hold it in. I noticed on the side there was a few riv nuts which were pulled out of the frame of the car. But with the riv nut tool and some fresh riv nuts, we was able to replace them quite easily. I'm pretty sure these are used to hold the bracket which holds the front wing or fender if you're American to the frame of the car. And now Chris is testing out the new riv nuts.
That ain't going anywhere.
What did you say?
Lights are not fitting.
Why are they not fitting?
The different plugs?
Different plug.
Oh no.
Everything was going so well until my dad decided to break the news to us that the new headlights with the front end we got weren't going to fit. The plugs were completely different. The new front end is off a facelift Audi RS6 and I have the pre-facelift one. But I thought it'd just be the case of coding the headlights to get them to work, not the fact the plugs are different. See, look, the facelift one looks a bit more, it's like smoked inside. It looks a bit more evil than that one. It's got LEDs, but the plug is different.
Just found something from another YouTube. You need new modules to power the fronts, as it has to be genuine Audi parts. So maybe Audi sells something that you can, almost like a conversion.
We now had to decide whether it was worth the hassle with trying to make the facelift ones work or resort back to the originals and buy a new one. But first we wanted to see whether they actually fitted in the bumper. Oh, it does fit then. So all they changed on the facelift is literally the headlight. So, and they've changed the grille, they've changed this, it says now Quattro. So the pre-facelift lights fit into the facelift bumper, and worst case, I found a pre-facelift headlight for £395 on eBay. But how much better did the facelift lights look? That does look better, but...
Does it look that much better? It's worth the headache?
Yeah, it's not that much better.
I don't think it's a big enough difference to care.
No.
Well, no, you can't put one
So...
of those.
It's a shame. Looks like £395. So we're another £395 down, but we could potentially sell the facelift headlights as they were all in good condition. But nevertheless, that didn't stop us from starting to fit the new body panels. Starting off with the front wing. We're going to put the facelift lights in just for looks. And then obviously replace it when we get the other one. It's such a shame we're going to have to get rid of the facelift lights because I think they look pretty good. But unless any of you guys know how to get these to work, then it looks like we're resorting back to the pre-facelift headlights. But £395 wasn't so bad. Yeah. Next up is the bonnet, and you may have noticed it's a slightly different shade of black, just like the rest of the front end. And I'm not going to worry too much about all the panel gaps just yet, because you'll see in the future episodes that there's still a lot more to do. In the meantime, I sent Matt, my cameraman, to go and replace the damaged tyre.
We're back at WheelMania, and once again, they're here to save the day. Now, we ordered a tyre yesterday, and they've managed to get it next day. So let's get it fitted and back to Matt, so we hopefully can get this car running and driving.
Now, obviously, we're not going to be keeping these wheels. This front left one is pretty badly damaged. But just to get us rolling for now, WheelMania have come in and managed to get us a replacement tyre in one day. So once again, thanks WheelMania. I'm sure we'll be back to pick up some crazy wheels for this before SEMA.
The wheel is done. It's time to get it back to Matt so we can get this car finished and back on the road. And let's hope that everything else from now goes well.
Oh yeah. Let's get it on. back on goes the not so pretty alloy, but with a fresh tyre on there, which should get us rolling for the meantime.
Go on.
Not quite an F1 pit stop. Right, the budget. So this is the door, and I think a good body shop could probably repair that. But the good thing about rebuilding something like an RS6 is that a lot of A6 stuff, just standard diesel stuff, should fit over to it. So instead of getting the door repaired, which would probably cost a couple £100, I just bought a new door off an A6 diesel for £209, which I think is pretty good, providing that both of these doors are the same. Okay, maybe they're not. Maybe they're not the same.
It's the same, but it's just different. You know what I mean?
It's like this is just rubber,
Yeah.
whereas
But it's
that's
still the
like
same.
plastic.
First off, before we take anything off, should we just put it on that and see if it opens and closes
yeah.
and it looks right?
Good thinking.
I think so, and then we can start deciding. Now this was a bit of a gamble because the A6 diesel doors were a lot cheaper than the RS6 doors.
That is pretty good.
But it looks like it fits exactly the same way. The only difference being the chrome trim at the bottom and the black trim at the top of the door, which now was going to have to take off and replace it from the old door onto the new one, which was a lot more hassle than we first thought.
There you go. Talks.
There was so many little things holding these trims in. We had to undo all the Torx bolts on the side to remove the trim. That allowed us to remove the seal around the door, and then the door was stripped completely bare. We had to do the same on the inside as well. From then on, me and Chris tackled the extremely fiddly job of putting back all the new seals on the outside of the door and the inside as well. I also had to swap over the wiring looms for it to work. And there it is. One door, which is a slightly different shade of black to that door, and a slightly different shade of black to the wing, is on. The wing mirror is on, and all the door cards are on. It definitely took a lot longer than we originally thought because we had to change absolutely everything over. The one thing that we are missing is a door speaker, so I'm going to have to order that. And the final thing to do in the interior is the airbag, and the airbag cost me £295, which I think is quite expensive really, but it is an airbag. Yeah, is that in right? Yeah, it is.
I think it is.
Yes,
It's sweet.
look at that. Now there's not really too much point in us putting this on because we haven't put the washer bottle in yet because we need to line up the arch, but there was one thing that was missing, and it was the engine cover, and this thing was surprisingly expensive, but I did want to fit it because it just looked incomplete without a cover. £164 98p for that. 95p.
Sometimes you've got to call a pro in to do these jobs.
Now we're going to pop some coolant in to see if there's any leaks, and also to run this car up to temperature. Then we're going to get to hear exactly what the exhaust sounds like. We're going to be able to run it up to temperature. Here we go. It's running sweet. We do still have a fair amount of warning lights on the dashboard. I'll assume the airbag light is only on because we still need to cancel the codes, hopefully. Noise.
That's pretty throaty.
Yeah, it's got like a bit of a bang. I think it needs a remap. I feel like it needs like some kind of remap, but like it's like just, it's just not like a. No, it's all right. It's all right. That was a absolute solid effort in 24 hours. It's obviously still a long way from SEMA and being a SEMA build. We've got a lot to do with that, but total cost, and in 24 hours, including the car, £26,564 to get to this point right here. Now I realise I missed the windscreen off, which was £225, which now brings the total build cost to £26,789. But actually I think that's still pretty good going. We've got a almost running Audi RS6 now, and if that's not motivated you to go and rebuild or get a crash damaged car and try it for yourself, I don't know what will. We've still got a long way to go with this, but thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
I'm confident in you. Jesus.
Man down.
Like a drug that